Well, what was once a fantasy is now a reality. That song right there, We Are the Champions, dedicated to the Toronto Raptors, the champions of the world.
It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet!
Welcome to Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, and I really can't wipe the smile off my face. What an amazing feeling. I'm joined, of course, by the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi. Nard Dogg, the past few days have been incredible. How you feeling?
I've had trouble sleeping. I've had trouble sleeping since they won Game 6 against Milwaukee. It's the greatest feeling in my life. Never thought it would happen in my life. And then a certain coactus came along and gave us one hell of a run this postseason, this whole season. And here we are, world freaking champions.
It's absolutely unbelievable. It still feels surreal, and it's going to feel surreal for a very long time, I think. And I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it, and getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because the Raptors winning the NBA championship, that's 24 seasons in the making. Personally, I've been watching the Raptors for well over half my life, and I know you could say the same thing. You've been watching the Raptors even longer than I have. And to just see them go through those struggles, all those tough 20-win seasons, those losing seasons where they didn't make the playoffs, or they made the playoffs and didn't get to the next round, just missed out on the mark, to finally go all the way and hoist up that Larry O'Brien trophy. As a sports fan, watching sports, that's the best feeling in the world.
It truly is. Like, that Game 1 against the Magic where they lost seems like it was eternity ago.
That series against the Magic, it really does feel like it was years and years ago. They lost Game 1, which, not a huge shocker because the Raptors do have a very bad history in Game 1s of the playoffs, but then they won the next 4 and moved their way on to the second round against the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, just kind of quick thoughts. What do you think about that first round series against the Orlando Magic? Because that was our first time seeing Kawhi Leonard and Marc Gasol, the new players on the roster in the playoffs for the Raptors.
People don't realize, but the Magic were the hottest team coming into the playoffs. They were at one point 20-31. They finished the season 42-40. They were freaking hot going into the playoffs. One of the best defensive teams going to the playoffs. They had some great players, not any superstars, but the Raptors, I think they were kind of shook in that first game. Like, they didn't realize what was coming to them. And then once they got that one game out, it was just, yeah, it's done.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and that's a very good point. It's almost like the Raptors went into that opening series of the playoffs underestimating the Orlando Magic, because they thought, whatever, the Magic, we don't have to worry about them. We had such a great regular season. Sure, they finished with the winning record, but it's a group of young guys. We can take them, and the Magic took them by surprise in Game 1.
Yeah, and it's just the way Gasol destroyed Vucevic in that series is incredible.
And you know what? You love Jonas Valanciunas, and he's an important piece of Toronto Raptors history, but I'm so glad that Masai Ujiri pulled the trigger and traded away Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and CJ Miles to bring in Marc Gasol to the Raptors fold. And Gasol was just incredible in the playoffs, and it really did start with that first series against the Orlando Magic, proving that why he's a former Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and it's just incredible. And then we go into the second round against the Sixers, who are probably, you look at their starting five, you think, oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Actually, there's 4 All-Stars on that team pretty much, and then you got a great shooter in Redick. And to a lot of NBA fans, that was probably the most exciting series of the whole entire playoffs, going to 7 games, you know?
And, of course, it ended on the famous shot. The shot that, now that the Raptors are NBA champions, even them just getting to the NBA Finals, That is the biggest shot in Toronto Raptors history, no question.
Yeah, and that basically ended that Vince Carter shot from 2001. That's like that shot that he missed in Game 7 in 2001. That's no one's going to think about that anymore. It's all about Kawhi's Game 7 shot. 4 point something seconds left. He goes there, baseline, bang, 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 swish.
Oh, it's beautiful. And bringing it back to Gasol and his defensive prowess in the playoffs, he shut down Vucevic, and he shut down Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid, sure, he played great in that game 3 when the 76ers won and got a little too cocky for their own good, and it came back to bite them. But Gasol was just spectacular against the dominant big men, because a lot of people think, oh, Gasol's in his mid-30s, he's not quick enough, but he proved all the critics wrong. Even though he's an older guy, he's played in the NBA for quite some time now. He's still quick on his feet. He is a ridiculously good passer for a 7-footer. It's insane when he just claws the ball and is just scanning the court looking for who to pass it to, and some of the passes he makes are just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was such a joy seeing Gasol there on the court. He's just an incredible player. Like a savvy veteran. I loved him being on the Raptors, and I know he's going to come back.
He has to. He has to. Well, and you know what? And that Philadelphia series is probably the series in this postseason that, the Milwaukee series had me pretty fired up. The finals against the Warriors had me pretty fired up. But I don't think I swore at the TV as much as I did during that second round against the 76ers. I got so frustrated some games.
That was a series where every Raptors fan out there in the world was just like, what are these referees doing? What are these referees doing?
Constantly, your neck's sore by the end of the game because you're constantly shaking your head at some of the calls that were being made. But luckily, it ended on a positive note for Raptors fans, and they moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second time in franchise history to take on Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks.
And I think a lot of Raptors fans were complaining about the refs in the first 2 games as well. But actually, no, that first game, they should have won that first game. But you know what? Like, the ball doesn't always go your way. You can't always pull out those wins. Like, they should have won that game against Milwaukee. They won against Milwaukee. And then that game 2 against Milwaukee, they just got blown out.
Oh, that you know what? I don't think I've sworn as much as at the Raptors during the playoffs than during Game 2 against Milwaukee Bucks. That was so frustrating. There's actually a few times where I walked away from the TV and I couldn't watch anymore. I was like, I can't do this. I'm just so frustrated with these guys. They're playing like a bunch of little kids. Little kids would play better than what they were doing. But even though they were down 2-0, they came back and won 4 straight. And that in itself is incredible.
And this is what happened. Nurse was finally like, I'm just going to put Kawhi on Giannis, and then the rest of the series is history. 4 straight. Van Vliet finally showed up. I gave him a lot of hate throughout the first 2 rounds, but Van Vliet finally showed up, and he was incredible.
He was.
Norman Powell had some good games.
Yeah, playoff Powell.
This is where the bench showed up.
Yeah, and, these guys really stepped up their game, as you said, and going back to Marc Gasol. Gasol had a terrible Game 2 against the Milwaukee Bucks, but then Game 3, it was totally different Marc Gasol. He pulled a complete flip and just played some of the best basketball I've ever seen him play. He was spectacular from that point on, and it was great to see these guys, when they had a bad game, they really did bounce back. And, you mentioned Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell. It was fantastic and just so great to see them get back to their old true forms of being those X factors on the court, of really being those guys that can come in and give you really solid minutes off the bench, and especially Van Vliet, and after the birth of his son, it was just phenomenal.
Freddie Jr.
Freddie Jr. Thank you, Freddie Jr. Part of history.
Yeah, they win Game 5 in Milwaukee. And then, as you know, I was there in Jurassic Park for Game 6, and it was like they won the championship after that Game 6, just the nonstop parties.
Just thinking about it, just goosebumps all along my arms. It's crazy, just that moment when they secured their spot in the NBA Finals was such an incredible feeling, indescribable feeling. As a Raptors fan, it was huge.
And then we're off to the almighty NBA Finals. The Toronto Raptors are in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Dynasty-ish Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, dynasty is appropriate because you could say that the Golden State Warriors were the most dominant team of the 2010s, of the last decade. People are going to remember this Golden State Warriors roster because look what they've done in the past. They're setting win records, winning championships, and the odds, in a way, so some could say the odds were stacked against the Raptors, but not necessarily because the Warriors, Kevin Durant was out. Kevin Durant, of course, we're sending positive vibes to Kevin Durant. It's unfortunate what happened to him in Game 5 and Klay Thompson as well in Game 6. It's never good to see a player go down, no matter what team you're cheering for. But the Raptors, as bad as it sounds, they had a chance to capitalize on the fact that Durant wasn't playing and then that Klay Thompson went down. But even with Klay Thompson in the lineup and the Warriors having all these all-stars, the Raptors didn't really let that faze them.
Yeah, and I think every American media person except for one guy on ESPN, Tim Bontemps, he picked the Raptors to win. But every single else person, they picked the Warriors to win in like 6 games, 7 at best. Like every single person in the American media, they picked them to win. And it's like, I don't get this. Like they say this whole asterisk thing. Talk about when the Warriors won when Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving weren't there.
There is no asterisk to this Raptors championship.
There's not.
Because the Warriors, the entire run, they had Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Iguodala.
They had Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson, yeah.
Most of the series, I think.
So I could see going into the finals, a lot of people choosing the Warriors just because of history, right? They're looking at the past, but these people that chose the Warriors didn't realize that the Raptors were riding, one of the biggest momentum trains in NBA history. They had a whole country behind them and multiple countries around the world behind them. The support for the Toronto Raptors is worldwide. It was incredible to see all the different fans that traveled to the games, that were being interviewed about how much they love the Raptors. It was such an absolutely beautiful sight. And, never a doubt, really. I just had that feeling. They got Kawhi, they got Gasol, they made these big moves. They had that momentum going. They made it all the way to the finals. It was like this is their time. This is their year. It's 2019, going into the 2020s, going into a new decade. The Raptors are going to cap off the 2010s with the NBA championship. And they did it. And it's the best.
That Game 6, man. That Game 6.
And
I was at a Toronto bar from 4:30 p.m. till 11-ish p.m.
Amazing.
Hoops, just down the road from Scotiabank Arena.
Oh, yeah, I know Hoops.
Yeah. And I just went there by myself because, there's no way. I was there. I was in Toronto for Game 5 with some buddies. I had to be there for a clincher game. And it didn't work out Game 5. Went there for Game 6. And, yeah.
Well, how did, you're talking about Game 5. Raptors go into Game 5. They're back in Toronto. They're up 3-1 after taking the games in Golden State. And, the stage was almost too perfect for them. He has people lining up. They won on Friday to go up 3-1, and then people lined up Saturday morning to get into Jurassic Park for Monday's Game 5. Wow, there are no better fans in the NBA than Raptors fans, and that is the proof right there. If you needed some proof, there it is. And, they had the fans singing the national anthem, the Canadian national anthem. It was in Toronto. Game 5, they could win it all, and they lost it by 1. And it wasn't necessarily heartbreaking because I knew that they still had it. I still believed that they were going to win the NBA championship. And I was like, you know what? This is just another little, this is a win for Golden State give them some confidence going back to their home court. But I wasn't necessarily worried after Game 5. How are you feeling after Game 5?
After Game 5, I was disappointed, but it was just we've seen it for the past 5 years. Curry and Klay Thompson just going off with these 3-point barrages, and when that happens, there's just nothing you can do. Nothing. Like, you could play the best defense in the world, there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raptors shot terribly in that game, and somehow they only lost by 1 point.
Yeah.
After that game, I was like feeling, there's no way the Raptors are losing 3 straight in a row against this team, especially now. Unfortunately, KD was out, and there's no chance they're going to lose 3 straight. So, we go into Game 6, and I don't know, it's a close game. It's a close game. But the Raptors, like, it just seemed like from the start they're controlling it.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Lowry, he scored the Raptors' first 11 points.
Oh yeah, he came in hot, and it was unbelievable, his shooting right off the bat. Like you said, 11 straight. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then, oh man, it's so surreal to talk about, isn't it?
It is. Like, the Raptors are NBA champions. They did it. Like, and when that final buzzer sounded, of course, there's a little bit of confusion at the end of the game. It was a little anticlimactic, but when that buzzer sounded, and then eventually when Kawhi went to the line and he hit that second free throw, and I just remember he hits the second free throw, and you see Lowry run down the court, and he puts his arm up in victory. I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. Like, I was just crying tears of pure joy because I'm just so happy for this team, and it's an amazing time to be a Canadian. It's brought the entire country together, and like I said, it's brought fans from around the world together. This Raptors roster, it's just a group of great guys, and they worked so hard, and they deserve this. And just in that moment when all was said and done, and Matt Devlin called it and said, "Canada, the NBA championship is yours." Oh my gosh, it is surreal. It is so surreal to talk about it.
And then, I was at Hoops again for Game 6. I went there at 5 p.m., an hour later. But, I was there from 5 till 11 again, whenever they won the championship, after 11. And then, it was just, I don't know, like, there was some, like when they won it, I was just, like, to myself, I was just, like, staring, like, blankly, as, like, oh, my God, they actually won the championship. So I was like a little choked up, and oh man! And I see all these fans just going crazy, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is happening!"
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about so many times. Are the Raptors ever going to win the NBA championship? If it happens, how are we going to feel? What's it going to be like? But now it's a reality. The Raptors can call themselves NBA champions going into the 2019-2020 season. The Toronto Raptors are the defending NBA champions. How sweet is that?
And it's so sweet. Like, I am doing this podcast right now, and I have Game 6 on the background right now on NBA TV.
It's perfect.
That's just how amazing of a fan I am. I'm just, oh my God.
And, the next morning, I remember going into work, and I was exhausted because these playoff games aired really late, even being on the western side of Canada with the time difference. The games were on really late, and as you know, I work in the morning shift, so I get up at 3 in the morning. So I was really tired Friday, but it was 110% worth it because I was not missing a single second of any of the games, especially in the finals. I went to work and I was just watching the celebration videos, and I even went on the Wikipedia page for the Toronto Raptors, and on the side it's got the stats, and it said championship won brackets 2019, and I started to cry. No one was at work, so I was tearing up because the championship won. They're NBA champions.
You're not alone on that Wikipedia thing. I did the exact same thing, and I'm pretty sure every single diehard Raptors fan went on Wikipedia just to see that thing that says 2019 NBA champions.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So, you know what? A huge. The biggest of congratulations to everyone on that Raptors roster, all the players, coaches, all the staff, and the announcing team, Matt, Jack, and Leo, Eric Smith, all the guys that are in the broadcast booth, everyone that works for Jurassic Park, everyone at Scotiabank Arena, everybody that's part of this whole organization, and even outside of that, the fans. So the fans who are part of this organization, it's such an amazing community feeling.
They want fans,
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm just so happy.
I was there in Toronto when it happened, and the party was on. Well, I left Toronto at 4:30 a.m. and I live streamed it on Instagram. It was a freaking joy. It was, oh my god. I have never, I said this after Game 6 when they went to the finals. I was like hugging and like shaking hands with like all these random fans. But I did the exact same thing when they won the finals. It was, I'm speechless right now just talking about it.
I know, I don't know what else to say. It's the best. It is the best feeling as a sports fan, and and it's been an unbelievable ride this whole season, the whole postseason. It has been an absolute joy to be a part of it and to witness it. It's been, it has been historic.
How about that parade?
Yeah. You talk about historic. Yeah, the first ever NBA championship parade in Toronto.
First one since the Blue Jays in 1993.
Yeah, Canada needed a championship, and I'm glad that the Raptors brought it home. You went to the parade. You got to represent Full Court Press along the championship parade route. What was that day like? You're looking a little sunburnt, and I know it was a really long day, but it must have been worth it. What was, tell me about the day. Lay that out there.
Well, still off the championship high. I didn't really sleep the day before.
That's fair.
The night, whatever. So I got up at 4 a.m. Well, I can't say got up. I think I got like a half hour of sleep. Or woke up like 4:05 or something. Then took had some breakfast. Took the 5:20 train down to Toronto Union Station, and then I made my way to Nathan Phillips Square before 6:30 a.m. And I was there till 4:30ish.
Wow.
Around that. Yeah, 4:30ish p.m.
Wow.
So and it was a very, very long day. We got views of the parade. They showed it on like the big jumbotrons there.
Oh yeah.
And it looked amazing.
Yeah, because you were camped out in Nathan Phillips Square for the big party on the big stage there.
That's another thing. There was other fans that were camped out there like the day before. They brought their lawn chairs. They brought food. They brought everything.
Well, yeah,
they're in the very front.
They're estimating about 2 million people attended this championship parade. That's insane.
So when I got there at around 6:30, I was told that there is maybe 2,000 people there already. That's nuts.
Wow.
I think the final tally was 50 or 60,000 people there.
Oh, in Nathan Phillips Square?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never seen it that busy, but like the aerial shots were wild. Just seeing all those people along the streets and then in the square is crazy.
So I was in the middle of the pack area to the right. And I don't know, just with a lot of Raptors fans, it was a good time until they were starting to announce that there's going to be a delay. I think there's there not being like close to a 3-hour delay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. this whole parade, and then they're going to go on stage with all the fans.
Yeah.
It didn't all end till like 4:30 or something around there. But yeah, a lot of fans were fainting there in the crowd. It was a very traumatic scene for a lot of people at Nathan Phillips Square, just because a lot of people there didn't have access to water or food.
Yeah, like, and hopefully we see, knock on wood, We see more championship parades in the future for Toronto.
Yeah,
But this is a good way for the city to see where they can improve on it. Because I heard that too, that a lot of people were getting dehydrated. Then, of course, this is outside of the city's realm of control. Of course, there's the shooting and then a stabbing during the parade. Two very unfortunate incidents. As of this time, no one was killed, so that's good. But it's unfortunate to see something so terrible happen during such a joyous occasion.
But like I told you, that 8 or something hours of waiting for the Raptors to go on stage, all that dehydration, all that starving, whatever, all that like suffering, I'll say, that went out the window when they were announcing every single Toronto Raptors that won the championship. It was, and I think before that, like we were all singing the Canadian anthem. It was beautiful, and just to see Kyle Lowry up there on the podium with that championship. Oh man, that meant the world to me. That meant the world to everyone that was there. I am gonna say this now, and I'm gonna say Kyle Lowry is the greatest Toronto Raptor to ever play on Canada's only team. I'm sorry, DeRozan, but Lowry throughout this whole 6 years of playoff run, he was the heart and soul of the team. He did everything on the court. Yeah, DeRozan got his scoring, but Lowry did everything on the court, and finally he was rewarded this season getting that championship trophy and seeing him that whole parade. He's just like hugging it. He's just hugging it. Without Lowry in those playoff runs, I don't think there is this championship. There's just I don't think it happens.
Lowry certainly is the heart and soul of the Toronto Raptors. He is that little engine that propels them forward. And yeah, you're right. Like I love DeMar DeRozan too. And DeMar DeRozan, you could say, because we look at Kawhi Leonard, obviously, probably the most dominant player to play for the Raptors. But if you stretch it out over how many seasons they've played with the team, you could put DeMar and Kyle 1 and 2. But now with Lowry winning that championship and being the guy to help get them there, being that captain for them, yeah, I agree with you. I could certainly say that Lowry is the best Raptor of all time.
Now, if he stay, Leonard, if he stay, then yeah, he's the best Toronto Raptor to ever suit up for the team. But if he stay, if Kawhi Leonard, if he stay. But as of right now, Kyle Lowry is the best.
Well, speaking of if he stay, what are your thoughts on that? I know we've touched on it before, but now that they've won the championship and Kawhi, of course, named the Finals MVP and put on, he's the third most points in the playoffs of all time in NBA history during this incredible run.
Jeez.
What do you think? I think, do we want to take a stab at it? Do we want to make our predictions as to whether or not he'll stay?
Does he stay or does he go? It's just so many incredible things happened this year. I'm sure when the trade first went down, he wasn't that thrilled. But I just feel like after this whole season, this whole playoff run, how Canada views him as one of the greatest players to ever play for a Toronto franchise. He's the king of the North, the king of the North. And you look at this Raptors team, they could run it back next year. The same roster pretty much. And then after this season, guys like Gasol's off the books, Lowry's off the books, Ibaka's off the books. That's a lot of cap space for the Raptors to work around. And the Raptors can re-sign Lowry for cheap. They can re-sign Ibaka for cheap. They can re-sign Gasol for cheap, and they can get another huge player. You know what I'm saying? And then there's this other team called the Clippers, who, yes, they have a very rich owner called Steve Ballmer, and yes, they have a respectable respectable coach called Doc Rivers, but they have a nice roster. But is that roster really can compete with other teams in the West with Kawhi Leonard? And here's the thing: I think if Kawhi Leonard plays for that team, he can't get the same load management with that team because he's going to have to play 70-plus games with that team for them to get a good seeding. With the Raptors, we saw what happened this year. They were 17-5 without him. They won 58 games. That's not going to happen with the Clippers.
No.
Yes, and the West is more competitive. Yes, the East had a really good year, but the West, there's still stacked teams. Like Klay Thompson's going to come back some point next season. Yeah, Kevin Durant's out all season, but what if he comes back in the playoffs next year? They still have Steph Curry, and like there's still the Rockets. There's still the improved Nuggets,
The Trailblazers.
OKC Thunder. It's like it's a tougher
And
thing with Kawhi Leonard.
and now the Lakers with Anthony Davis.
And I forgot about Anthony Davis and
Yeah.
LeBron. Kuzma's a really good player, and they still have money to spend on other role players. And then you got the East, which, okay, save. I don't think the Sixers are going to run it back with Butler and Tobias Harris. I think one of them's gone, and I feel like Tobias Harris is the one who's going to go. So they're going to lose one of those players. And then the Bucks, there's word that they're going to re-sign Middleton to a max contract, which I think is stupid. But I think by doing that, they may lose Brogdon, who was a huge player with them this year. And what else is there? The Celtics. We've all seen what's happened. Kyrie Irving's like all but guaranteed to go to the Nets.
Al Horford's going to leave.
Al Horford's like rumored to take a 4-year deal with the Mavericks. I've been hearing. And yeah, that's another team. I forgot to mention the Mavericks. They'll have Luka Doncic, Porzingis, and potentially Al Horford. Plus, they have a lot of other good players. It's not smart for Kawhi Leonard to go to the West right now.
Because, well, they can just continue to run the East. And, some people might say, oh, that's just an easy way out. It's like, no, but there's still good teams in the Eastern Conference. Like,
They're going to be good teams.
yeah, so you're still going up against this season's MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I think, with winning a championship and the Raptors can offer Kawhi Leonard more money than any other team,
Yeah,
40
million, I think it is.
there's literally no reason, from a playing standpoint, there's literally no reason for Kawhi Leonard to leave. He's playing with an incredible group of guys. They just won the championship. He was the Finals MVP, and the Raptors can offer him the most money. Sure, he might want to move back and live in LA to be, to be back home. But he's going to be rich enough he could, just buy a house in LA.
And here's the thing. Drake has his own private jet. Drake can offer him that jet anytime to go back to, I think his home in California, San Diego. He can go back there anytime he wants.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a strong feeling that Kawhi Leonard is going to stay. Because seeing the emotion, seeing the joy on his face, like watching Kawhi Leonard over the years, I haven't seen him open up this much in the close to a decade that he's played in the NBA. He opened up so much this season. You actually saw him smile so much during this finals run. It was kind of amazing.
And I'm thinking that, how he did the ha, ha, ha?
Yeah, made fun of his laugh. It was incredible.
Yeah. And how the way the Raptors teammates reacted, I don't know if this is accurate. Who knows if I'm right or wrong, but maybe that was like the way the Raptors players reacted was code for him staying.
You know what? That would be so cool. I hope he stays and we find that out because that would be the coolest thing.
Yeah. There were a lot of people that were like, he should probably just say only 2 words when he goes up the podium with that mic.
Yeah.
He's going to say, he stayed. Or like, no, I stayed. And just drop the mic. But we can't have that.
That would have been amazing. But it's kind of nice that he's keeping that air of mystery open because I know, especially Kawhi, being the professional that he is, he definitely didn't want to make the day about himself. So if he said, I stay, then sure, but that would have been all that people were talking about. And I think being the pro that he is, he wanted the focus to be on the city of Toronto and the fact that the Raptors won their first NBA championship. And I think that's really cool of him.
And the day after the parade, he does the most Canadian thing ever and goes to Niagara Falls.
That made me so happy because I love Niagara Falls. I've been to Niagara Falls so many times, especially growing up so close, as you know. I think that's fantastic that he was able to see Niagara Falls because you got to see Niagara Falls at least once in your life. It's spectacular.
Also, later that night, he was back in Toronto at the restaurant bar Cactus Club, Cactus Bar, something like that. Cactus Club.
Probably the Cactus Club.
With former Raptor Corey Joseph.
Hey, cool. There you go.
Former Spurs teammate as well.
That's awesome. And there's a story that came out afterwards that on the day that the trade went down, it was either the day or the day after, Kawhi actually texted Kyle Lowry and said, "Hey, I know that you're mad that your best friend got traded, but come to Toronto and let's do something special." And I think that's awesome of Kawhi to have done that, and they sure did something special. And I think over the course of the season, as upset as Lowry was that his best friend DeMar DeRozan got traded, I believe, and it appears that Kawhi and Kyle are just so in sync and have created such a strong bond. Seeing them interact and, after they won the championship, seeing them go right at each other and just hug it out, that was awesome. I was like, okay, I don't want to lean too much on signs, but that's a good sign.
That interview they did after they won it, and they were interviewed by Rachel Nichols, they just seemed like they were best friends.
It was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, just seeing Kawhi open up so much, and it looks like because he was miserable at the end of his run with the Spurs, just the way that he was treated and how that whole situation went down, and he's beloved by a whole country of Raptors fans, and he's beloved by the organization, and they treat him so well with the load management throughout the regular season, being so understanding about that. I don't like, and like you said, he's not going to get that with the Clippers. He's not going to be able to take games off because if he does, chances are they're going to lose those games.
It's one of those things where Kawhi's personality how he is with like the media and everyone. It's just don't judge a book by its cover because all his teammates throughout this season have said how he's the funniest guy on the team. He pulls off the biggest jokes.
That doesn't surprise me, but when it comes to basketball, he's a superstar that goes against the norm of an NBA superstar. He's not flashy, and he doesn't want to be on camera like LeBron or some other superstars out there, like even a guy like Anthony Davis, trying to be in the spotlight, whatnot. He just goes out and plays the game that he loves, and I think that's beautiful.
You got to think about it. Yes, he's beloved right now in Canada. If he goes anywhere, he was in Niagara Falls, everyone was following him, taking pictures. But if he goes to LA, he's gonna have paparazzi all over him and everything. And they're showing videos of him in Niagara Falls, but the only people that were going after him were little kids who looked up to him this whole playoff run, this whole season, that probably strive to be like him one day. It wasn't a huge giant camera from paparazzi from TMZ that if he was in LA, which would happen. He seems like a family man. He brought his daughter and his newborn son to Niagara Falls with his mother.
I'm quite confident that he is staying. I don't want to say for sure because I think the only people that know for sure, like I said, maybe the team, maybe him making fun of his laugh was a code of some sorts. If not, I think the only people that know what he's going to do,
himself.
Himself. I don't even know if Uncle Dennis knows. Yeah. Oh man.
Man, even Uncle Dennis is getting known in Toronto. There's a photo of him at the airport. I think it was yesterday, and he was there, and some young Raptors fan was there, just greeting him. It was fun to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thing is, he's getting noticed right now by all these Canadians, but it's not going to happen all the time because Canadians are respectful like that. They're not going to chase after him.
Yeah, if I were to see, if I was out at a restaurant or something and I saw Kawhi eating dinner with his family, I'm gonna wait till he's done his meal and then walk up to him and say, hey, hey, Mr. Leonard or Kawhi, whatever, like, see what the, feel that vibe out. It's just like, hey, like, how's it going? Just a huge fan of yours. Wondering if maybe we can get a picture. If not, no worries, because I see you're having dinner with your family. Just wanted to say thanks for everything you do for the Raptors. You're awesome.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he should stay.
Yeah, exactly. We're super kind to you, Kawhi. And we love you and we welcome you. That's our pitch. That's Full Court Press's pitch.
And we say sorry all the time.
What's that?
We say sorry all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, surreal. It's.
For sure.
I don't. Honestly, when next season starts, I don't even know if like. I'm gonna sit back and think the Raptors are the defending NBA champions, and I don't think it's gonna feel real even at the start of next season.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Ah man.
Absolutely.
24 years in the making. 24
years in the making. Historic. Is absolutely unbelievable. It's unreal. I'm so happy. Like I said, there's so much excitement. It's such an amazing feeling. My hope for every sports fan is that they get to see their team win a championship. This is a team that I've followed for, like I said, more than half my life, and this team that I've cried before when they've lost, and I cried at the end of Game 6 because they won. Because you go through all those random players that they had on their rosters, guys like Hassan Adams, Menki Batir, Milt Palacio. All no offense to them, solid basketball players, but no one really remembers these guys unless you were watching at the time. And they had so many tough seasons, but you go through the rough to get to the gold. And now the Raptors are holding the gold.
I want to give a big shout out to Chuck Swirsky, because I saw after the Raptors won the championship, he was going off on Twitter. If you read his Twitter timeline when they won, it'll basically depict every Raptors fan's like good moments, bad moments. He named off what happened, like what he went through, like when he was a commentator on the team. Like he brought up all these good memories, like Vince Carter. He brought up Mighty Mouse. He brought up everything. Just if you're a diehard Raptors fan, you got to check out his timeline after they won, because I'm sure a guy like him, Salami and Cheese was his catchphrase when the Raptors were about to win a game. He depicted every single emotion that, if you're a fan for the past 24 years, that you went through.
I remember the days of watching Raptors basketball and having Chuck call the games, and Chuck Swirsky. You give kudos to the current broadcasting team, but yeah, that's a great shout out. Chuck Swirsky is definitely a part of Raptors history that you can never forget to mention, because it's a very important part of Toronto Raptors history.
I don't know if he went to the parade. I tweeted him out saying come to the parade, but he should have, because he's part of it all.
Yeah, he's part of it all, and we thank him. Thank him for all he did for the Raptors when he was with them.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out to Chuck Swirsky. It's worst.
What a roller coaster of emotions. Toronto Raptors are frickin' NBA champions.
There's no asterisk to this. There's nothing to it. They are the champions. And that's because they played their hearts out and they won it all.
And I think if the Raptors can keep the roster that they have, they're going to go to the finals again next year. And I know I'm shooting way ahead, but I think if they keep this team together, they could do something special again, and they could make it all the way to the finals for the second year in a row. I believe in them. I strongly believe that they could do it.
No doubt. And now they have the finals experience of winning it all. And that's what matters most in the NBA.
And that's, we're gonna cherish that. We're gonna hold on to that and just keep on riding that high for as long as we can.
For sure.
Switching off from the Raptors, going over to the Western Conference. We briefly mentioned this. Anthony Davis to the Los Angeles Lakers. Got any quick thoughts on that?
Well, obviously the Lakers are going to be in the playoffs. They'll most likely be a top 3 team in the West. But they got to add some depth to that team, because other than Kuzma and maybe one or two other players, they're not looking too good. But yeah, they apparently have $23 million to spend, and they're going to have to spend that wisely on at least 2 or 3 good players. Because just two superstars on a team can't get it done. We saw it with the Warriors. Yeah, KD was out, but they obviously couldn't get it done with Curry and Klay Thompson.
I think, immediately when that trade happened, the betting odds came out, and they're like, "Oh, Lakers are winning the championship," and I was like, "Calm down. No, they're not. The Los Angeles Lakers. We'll see who else they can add to their roster, but LeBron James and Anthony Davis are not." No, the Lakers are not. I'm saying it right now. The Lakers will not win a championship based off of those two superstars. Two superstars indeed, but they're not going to win a championship.
I don't think they're winning the championship next year for sure, but we never know what's going to happen the year after that. They can add more players and superstars, but yeah, they're for sure not winning it next year.
No, yeah, we're calling it right now. The Los Angeles Lakers are not winning the NBA championship next year.
Plus wins, top 3 in the West, but no championship.
No championship. They'll make the playoffs, unlike this year, but no championship.
But wouldn't it be sweet? LeBron versus Kawhi in the finals.
And
LeBron always being that Raptors killer, and for the Raptors to dethrone LeBron. Jeez.
Oh, I've got chills thinking about it. That's fantastic. That is.
That's the only time I'll ever say that, though, because I don't like predictions.
Okay, that's true. How about Mike Conley, reportedly off to the Utah Jazz? It's not. I guess it's not official yet.
So yeah, the final grinded out Grizzlies player from all those Gasol, Zach Randolph, Mike Conley days, etc. The final piece of that puzzle is gone. And now he's on the Utah Jazz, where Donovan Mitchell finally has a decent running mate with him. And I think that's going to for sure, I think that could possibly for sure like put them over to the second round.
Oh, yeah. Well, and with their defensive stopper and Rudy Gobert, you look at those guys, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, and Rudy Gobert together. That's a very solid defensive line.
And I hope the best for Conley because he never made an All-Star game in his career.
That's surprising because he's a really good player.
He's one of those players where you'll look back in his career and like, what? This guy never made the All-Star game. You'll look at his stats like, what?
If Conley retires never having been an All-Star, he's going to go down certainly as one of the greatest players to never have been named an All-Star.
Well, yeah, for Conley, like Gasol, I would hope for another success story for the Utah Jazz because they've never won it all, and you never know what next season could hold.
Exactly. If the Raptors showed us anything, is that you got to expect the unexpected.
That's right. No one picked him to win the championship. No, I don't think anyone picked him to go to the finals. Here we are, 2019 NBA champion.
Doesn't that sound great? It's got a lovely ring to it. The Toronto Raptors, 2019 NBA champions.
Party all summer, like Van Vliet and Powell were saying. Just party all summer. Diamond Nation, party all summer.
Yeah. Well, Nard Dogg, I got to say, this has been my absolute favorite topic of discussion here on FCP. The Raptors as champions. But that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Full Court Press. Nard Dogg, where are you at on Twitter?
Find me on the Twitter at DavidBernardi7.
Excellent. And you can find me at Justin Goulet 21. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Full Court Press. Make sure you check out the Facebook page, click the like button, and click the subscribe button on the YouTube page. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet.
And I'm the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi.
And we the North, we'll catch you next time.
We the champs.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops Goulet.